The world exhaled, but the silence that followed was uneasy. In the ashes of World War II, humanity stood at a crossroads, between renewal and ruin, between hope and fear. Cities were gone, continents fractured, families scattered. Yet amid the rubble, something extraordinary began, the slow, determined rebuilding of civilization. Across Europe, the survivors emerged like ghosts from the ruins. Berlin, Warsaw, Rotterdam, once great cities, were now nothing more than fields of concrete and steel skeletons. In France, the streets that had once echoed with Nazi marches now filled with the songs of liberation and mourning. But the scars ran deeper than any crater. Entire generations were lost, not just in life, but in innocence, in faith. The victors, too, bore their burdens. America, once distant and divided by oceans, had become the leader of the free world. Its economy booming, its technology unmatched, its culture spreading like wildfire. But this newfound power came with a shadow. The Soviet Union, its victory drenched in unimaginable sacrifice, emerged from the war as both hero and conqueror. 27 million Soviets had perished. Entire cities had been erased. Yet Joseph Stalin, ruthless as ever, turned triumph into tyranny. Eastern Europe fell under his grip. Poland, Hungary, Romania, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, each becoming a puppet state in what Churchill would call the Iron Curtain. The peace that followed the Second World War was no true peace. It was a balance of terror. Two superpowers stood in opposition, each armed not with mere armies, but with weapons that could erase humanity itself. In 1949, the Soviet Union detonated its first atomic bomb. The age of mutual annihilation had begun. The post-war years became a new kind of battlefield, one of ideology, espionage, and influence. The United States championed capitalism, democracy, and open markets. The Soviet Union spread communism through revolution and fear. In between lay a world divided, Europe split in two, Asia trembling, Africa, and the Middle East awakening from centuries of colonial control. In 1948, the Berlin Blockade marked the first major confrontation of this new era. When Stalin cut off access to West Berlin, hoping to starve the Allies out, the West responded with defiance, an airlift of supplies that lasted nearly a year. Food, coal, medicine, more than 2 million tons of aid delivered from the skies. It was a triumph not just of logistics, but of will. Berlin became the symbol of freedom, an island of light in a sea of darkness. Meanwhile, across Asia, the remnants of empire began to crumble. India gained independence from Britain in 1947, igniting a wave of decolonization that swept across the globe. But independence often came with pain, partition, civil war, and bloodshed. In China, the civil war between nationalists and communists reignited after Japan's defeat. By 1949, Mao Zedong's Red Army had claimed victory, founding the People's Republic of China. The world's most populous nation had joined the communist camp. In 1950, war erupted again, this time in Korea. The Korean Peninsula became the first flashpoint of the Cold War, where North and South, communism and democracy, clashed in brutal stalemate. Millions died, yet the borders barely shifted. The message was clear. The Cold War would be fought not in Berlin or Moscow, but on the edges through proxy wars, coups, and revolutions. Back in Europe, the seeds of unity were being planted. The devastation of 2 world wars had taught a cruel lesson. Only cooperation could prevent a third. From the ashes of conflict rose new institutions, the European Coal and Steel Community, the forerunner of today's European Union. Old rivals, France, Germany, Italy, began to link their fates together, forging an economic and political partnership that would transform the continent. But in 1961, Berlin once again became the world's stage. In one night, barbed wire split the city in two. The Berlin Wall rose, concrete watchtowers and machine guns dividing families, dreams, and ideologies. To the east, the Soviet bloc tightened its hold. To the west, NATO stood firm, a shield of democracies bound by shared fear and hope. Beyond the politics and power struggles, the human story continued, of survival, of progress, of reinvention. The United States, enriched by war production and untouched by invasion, entered an age of prosperity. Suburbs spread, highways stretched across the continent, and a generation known as the asterisk baby boomers asterisk was born. Technology flourished. Jet engines, television, antibiotics, and computers transformed everyday life. But amid the prosperity, memories of the war lingered in the hearts of veterans, in the quiet grief of widows, and in the haunted eyes of those who had survived the camps. The Nuremberg trials had tried to bring justice to the architects of genocide. For the first time, the world declared that crimes against humanity would not go unpunished. But the scars of the Holocaust ran too deep for justice alone to heal. In 1948, the State of Israel was founded, a homeland for a people nearly annihilated. Yet even that birth came with bloodshed, as war erupted between Jews and Arabs, setting the stage for decades of conflict in the Middle East. The late 1940s and 1950s were an age of paradox, of hope and fear intertwined. While scientists dreamed of spaceflight and global communication, nations built weapons capable of ending civilization in minutes. The same spirit that had split the atom now reached for the stars. In 1957, the Soviet satellite Sputnik orbited the Earth, a beeping metal sphere that sent shockwaves across the globe. The space race had begun. By 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey beyond Earth, and 8 years later, the United States answered with Neil Armstrong's quiet words on the moon. Asterisk, that is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Asterisk, the legacy of World War II, its technology, its science, its political will, had propelled humanity into the cosmos. But the war's shadow was never far. In Vietnam, Cuba, and countless other places, the ideological struggle continued. In every coup, every uprising, every border drawn, echoes of the Second World War could be heard. The same desire for dominance, the same fear of the other, the same fragile pursuit of peace. As the 20th century advanced, the veterans of that great conflict grew old. Monuments rose, silent stone sentinels, guarding the memory of the fallen. Children studied the war in classrooms, but for those who lived it, the memories never faded. The smell of smoke, the whistle of bombs, the letters that never came home. By the dawn of the new millennium, only a few remained to tell their stories, the last witnesses to the most devastating event in human history. Their words, captured in film, in diaries, in fading photographs, became the last link to a world that must never be forgotten. World War II was not merely a clash of nations, it was a crucible of humanity. It revealed both the depths of our cruelty and the heights of our courage. It showed that progress and destruction can be born of the same hand, and it left behind a message carved into the bones of civilization itself, that freedom, compassion, and memory are the only defenses against our darkest nature. Today, we walk through a world shaped entirely by that war. Our borders, our alliances, our fears, our dreams. The digital age, the atomic age, the space age, all were born from its fires. And though the guns of 1945 have long fallen silent, their echoes still travel through time, reminding us of what we lost and what we must never lose again. Because history is not past, it is the mirror in which we see ourselves. And in the reflection of World War II, we glimpse both our capacity for ruin and our enduring will to rise again.